What is going on, live stream world? How you doing, Travis?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good, good. I got a couple different people with me right now. Let's do quick introductions. Mr. Marvin, how you doing, sir?
I'm good, Curtis.
Who are you, Marvin?
Oh wow, Curtis, put me on the spot. Born and raised right here in the Clearwater area. A Floridian. Currently, we just finished working with Project Bridge for the last 12 years as a program manager. Now just transitioned into the Twin Oaks, where we provide transition services.
I love it, love it. Miss Anna, say hi to everybody.
Hey, Al. How are you?
Good. Who are you, by the way?
Who am I? I am Anna Lewis. I'm a VP of operations for an amazing nonprofit organization called Ecker Connects. And I am also a proud native Floridian and happy to be here today.
I love it. And Miss Stanley, let's see if the audio is working. Who are you? You're amazing. That's who you are, Miss Stanley. I appreciate you. And I'll tell you who Miss Stanley is. She's an amazing career navigator, career coach, mentor. That job description where it says all other duties to be assigned, she's the one that embodies that last line. And she's also a supporter of this stream, always sending me direct messages that if it was good or bad. So I appreciate you, Miss Stanley. Travis Blake.
Hey, how's it going?
Appreciate you being here, sir. So obviously 4th of July is tomorrow.
Yes.
What do you got plans?
So I'm going to be spending some time with my brother. We're going to barbecue and shoot some fireworks off. Can't wait. Hopefully we don't burn nothing down.
No.
It's not California, so.
Whoa, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Anybody else see that? The fireworks explosion, the factory blew up?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be safe. Yeah. Any young people out there?
Yeah.
What tip? You got some tips for anybody that might be messing around with the fireworks this year?
I have an adult watching everything and keep those fireworks away from, anything that might be combustible. That's all I can say. Don't put your fireworks in a car and then expect it'd be safe. Just keep them all separate from the fireworks that you light, and I think you'd be fine.
Think so?
Yeah,
I hope so. Speaking of everything going to be okay, my co-host just joined me, Miss Hope.
Hey, good. How's everybody?
Hello, Hope.
Hey, Hope.
Marvin, Anna, Deborah. How are you guys?
Good.
Better now that you're here.
Aww.
Hope, what do you got planned for 4th of July?
Nothing yet. So we'll see. We'll see
It.
what happens tomorrow. So.
Fair enough. So, Travis, talk to us in the spirit of 4th of July. We wanted to have you on as a special guest co-host because how much you have dedicated to our country as a Marine. Talk to us a little bit about your why did you join the Marines? How long were you in the Marines? Kind of talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, why I joined the Marines was basically for my GI Bill. I got out of school, wanting to become an engineer, and I was in school and working a full-time job, and it was just in that same rut trying to get out of debt. So I was just wondering how I could pay for school, and I knew the military was the way to go. So I went in the Marines because they had the best uniform. And 8 years later, I got out and I was able to use my GI Bill and got an electrical engineering degree. So, and there's a lot of experiences when you're in the military. So I'm glad I did it.
And just for people that might not know, what's GI Bill?
So it was a law that was passed that gives you the benefit to go to school, getting paid while you're going to school for up to $80,000. So that's a lot. You can get a bachelor's degree. You can even extend it if you're going into a STEM, like science. What is STEM? STEM engineering or medical fields or anything like that. So yeah, you just basically get a bachelor's degree debt free.
Gotcha.
And you get paid while doing it. So it's like the best thing. So
let's do since I'm leaving my panel on here, Marvin, and and Hope. Let's do a little rapid fire on Travis. Travis is here from Japan. He's supposed to be here just with friends and family, having a good time. And I said, hey, come on over and let me put you to work. So let's put him to work. I'm gonna ask the first question.
All right.
4th of July.
Yeah.
What does that holiday mean to you in comparison to some other holidays that come around?
The first word that comes to my mind is freedom, and how we came about freedom. When you hear the national anthem and how that kind of, if that doesn't strike a tear down your eyes, it's kind of one of those things you kind of got to look back in history and understand where we came as Americans to where we're at now. I know we're going through some troubled times now, but we'll leave that, from whatever. But, it's just, we're all a diverse, bunch of people just living together in a world of freedom and fighting for freedom. So I just think of freedom, and I love fireworks.
Would you say the meaning of this holiday before you enlisted versus now has changed?
Yeah, absolutely. Before, I didn't know anything about 4th of July. I didn't really think about it. But once you serve your country and you've gone around and see different parts of the world, and you see how people live across, some of the most war-torn countries. I've been to Iraq, I've been to Afghanistan, been to Korea, South Korea, and you just see how people live, and then you look back at the way we live and how much freedoms we have. It's just one of those things that you just glad to be an American.
People probably take it for granted.
Yeah, a lot of people take it for granted. I mean, it's easier to take it for granted now these days.
For sure. All right, let me get a question from the group here. What question do you have for Mr. Travis in the spirit of 4th of July?
I have a question regarding the spirit of a teenager kind of undecisive on what career path they want to take, and say they may be considering going to the military. Travis, what advice would you give to that particular individual?
When I was in high school, I was very fearful of going into the military, just because there was a war going on. I was just thinking that movies, guns a blazing, and was very scared that I would be sent at the front lines, and you just never know what might happen. I might never come back. But it's a mental thing. Once you get that in your mental head, one thing I had to tell myself is I didn't want to go through life in my 40s realizing, man, I wish I would have joined the military. So just do it. It's action that basically overcomes your fear. And so I just talked to a recruiter, and once you talk to a recruiter, they're there to kind of guide you in exactly what you want to do, because it's not like you're just going to be infantry. There's a lot of different jobs or trades, I should say. I mean, I was an engineer, so I was basically a construction worker. I got a lot of heavy equipment licenses, which I could easily transferred as I got out. I didn't do that, but there's also aviation. You can get top secret clearances in Intel. It's crazy on how many MOSs or military occupation services that they have in the military. You just have to talk to a recruiter, and they will get you to those yellow footprints, or basically boot camp, because that's their job, and they're going to make you feel comfortable. So if you desire to becoming a doctor, you can become a corpsman, or, somebody in that medical field. And they will, like I said, a recruiter will guide you to the right spot. It's just, you just need somebody that would be able to explain things on how things work. And that basically was what I did. They got me into the boot camp. And once I was in boot camp, the rest is history.
And to piggyback off Marvin's question a little bit, and you don't have to get into too specifics, but just because I know a little context, you joining the Marines wasn't like something you, since you were a little kid, always wanted to do.
No. I didn't even know anything about the Marines until, I got into the recruit. I just seen the commercials and I was like, yeah, that's a cool uniform. But, once I got in there, because like I said, I thought they were all infantry. I thought, you hear Marines and you're thinking, that's the cream of the crop. you know, the front line, which they are the first ones in, last ones out. But, you know, I just didn't think that there would be anything that I would be interested in doing in the Marines. I didn't want to be a tank driver, you know, or just a standalone infantryman. I wanted to do something when I get out, because I didn't think I wanted to stay in for the full 20 years. You know, I didn't want to make that my life just because it was moving and I wanted to have a family and stuff like that. So, yeah, I just once I got there, talked to the recruiter. Like I said, he showed me all the jobs, and I seen engineer, and that seemed interesting to me. And, you know, like I said, the rest is history. You just kind of do as he says. You PT, or you know, keep your physical fitness intact, and then when you get into boot camp, it's a breeze.
And then for those watching, if you got a question for Travis, Marine, 8 years.
Yeah, 8 years.
8 years. You got a question for Travis about the Marines and the 4th of July, go ahead and put those in the comments. I noticed a couple of times, I think you already did it twice, where you essentially implied Marines are the best. And
yeah, we do have that. Yeah, I mean, I would say that just because the Marines are the longest boot camp. We're the most highest. We maintain our look, our physical fitness is just harder, and I just think that, like I said, the uniforms look better.
I feel like to be a Marine, though, you got to have a certain level of, not cockiness, but you got to be
you definitely get confidence as you know, once you get your EGA pin done, you do boost you come out of boot camp holding your head high, and you just have a whole set of new confidence that you would never have had before going in, because you're now something. You're part of a bigger, what they call gun club, you know, and it's that group that gets you. It's just like, you know, I'm sure when you make the NFL, that's going to make you feel really good. But when you go into the, you know, a branch like the Marine Corps, it's just you're a select few, and it makes you feel real confident about yourself. So it's a whole new level of confidence that you gain after coming out of boot camp. That's for sure.
And I've known you for a long time, and to think that you needed more confidence was you had confidence.
I had confidence, but not as much confidence as I have now. I mean, I'm a lot more, you know, and I'm a lot more level-headed. I think we can go back and those.
Yeah, no, not on live stream.
Not a lot of shit, but those.
I see what you mean, though. Like because even when you talk about your family, stability, long-term future, you came out of that thinking big picture. It seemed like, as opposed to just like short term.
Yeah, short term. I mean, and deploying to Iraq and Afghanistan, you know, I didn't have kids, but once I had kids, that's when I realized I don't want to be deploying again. I know once you go overseas and you kind of, I don't want to say that you're trained so much that you're, you know, if things do happen, you're doing it at a reaction, moment's notice, to where it happens. It's a reaction. But when you think about it, once you have kids, you want to be there for them. So you just kind of think about it, that worst case scenario that could happen, that you may be coming home in a box, and it's just like, okay, well, now I got to get out. I got to focus on my children. Yeah. Exactly what I did. I actually went into the military just for my GI Bill, got out and basically got my degree, started working, and then, you know, once my father-in-law passed, we moved back to Okinawa, which I think is the best thing that has ever happened to us or happened to me.
All right. And so before I kick it to someone on the panel, a question for Travis too. I do want to give some props to Travis, because I still remember it in my brain. I was at CBS working, and you called, and you're like, "Hey man, I just want to let you know you're not gonna be able to hear from me for a minute. Yeah. I'm gonna be in boot camp." And I was like, "Well, I mean, when you going? What do you mean?" And you were like, "I'm getting on the bus right now." Like they
as soon as I signed up, they were needing numbers. So they were just like, you know.
But you just went for it, and because you knew you were at a point in your life where I got to do something, you know. So I'm gonna jump headfirst into this thing that might be scary, because I know it's the best for me.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I just knew I was gonna get older and older and older, and I was never going to get younger. So I better do it now before I can't go into boot camp or anything like that. I just, like I said, I did it. And it was a nerve-wracking thing. But, you know, if you're scared of heights, you know, it's kind of one of those things you got to look over at the heights to just overcome your heights, you know, and jump in and swim.
Yeah. Yep. What do you think, panel? What question do you got for Travis in the spirit of 4th of July?
I don't know. I see Deborah keep moving her. Deborah, are you trying to ask a question? I don't want to cut in front.
No, Deborah's audio is not working. Deborah, you can put it in the in the comments for us though, or text me.
She's gonna sign it. So
that's not gonna work. Go ahead, Hope.
So, first of all, thank you for your service. And so the question I have is, obviously you talked about being in certain situations that may have been very intense, very dangerous. You talked about not wanting to come home in that box, right? What did you tell yourself? What phrase, what words, what reminder, what inspiration did you give yourself in those moments where it was the highest intensity and you just didn't know what was going to happen next?
Well, in the heat of the moment, you just react. You don't really think, because you're training so much that, you know, when you train with sims, but it's a reaction. But after that adrenaline, you get an adrenaline rush to where you feel like Superman a lot of times. I mean, that's why I think a lot of PTSD comes from, is because you'll never get an adrenaline rush until you get into a fire or something that comes across where you could lose your life. And that adrenaline rush is hard to recreate. You'll see Marines sometimes come back home from deployment and they're driving down the I-5 or something like that, going 100 miles. You know, they're just trying to recreate that adrenaline rush. But one thing that I always told myself when things kind of piped down and I was just in the mix and possibly going into a situation that could happen, is that I wanted to meet my maker. I had faith in something beyond life. And I was just, you know, I look at it now and I'm thinking, man, I'm glad I didn't meet my maker. But, you know, it's just something that you kind of had to kind of do with your mental state to kind of keep going and pushing forward, because you have your brothers and your sisters on your side and you have to be there for them. And I think that's also another thing, that you have your brothers and they're not scared, or you don't think that nobody shows fear, especially in the Marine Corps. You just don't do it. And when it gets to that situation, you just react. I can't really explain it until you just something that you kind of got to do.
Would you say that your spirituality, you became more spiritual the longer you?
Yeah, absolutely became more spiritual, especially when you're in, you know, in a country that everybody's trying to kill you. It's one of those things that you just think about, what if, you know, it's the what if thing. And then it's just like, you know, I'm sure as you get older, you know, you start kind of, like retirement older, you know, or 70s, 80s, or the time that, you know, a lot of people go to church, and I think that's the reason, you know, they want to get closer to their maker, or, you know what's going to happen in the afterlife.
Man, just at the way you can say when you're in a country that everybody wants to kill you, and you just like speak to it just like it's it makes me think, like, man, the amount of strength you got to have to go through that, where so you could say something like that and it's just like,
Yeah, but I think it's just something that like I said, you just get dropped into it, you know. And it's one of those things that it does it, and you're just in it, and you just go through the motions one step after. It's the same thing.
You just do what you got to do.
Yeah, like if you're doing public speaking, right? I used to be terrified of speaking, you know, in front of a large audience. But it's something that you just kind of got to do. You know, you just, once you get into it, you get used to it, and then after that, you get so comfortable with it. It's just like another day in paradise.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. I think that has to do with anything that's new, any type of change. That's a good lesson for change in itself. It's going to be terrifying, but you're either going to do it or not. You know,
got to overcome that fear.
Oh, Miss Deborah got a question for us from the chat. Here it is, Travis. Travis, you said you like fireworks. So fireworks versus drone light shows, which is better?
I like the fireworks just because you can hear the boom and you can feel it. The drone light shows are pretty cool too, but I haven't seen very many of them. Maybe when they become more prevalent or more common. But yeah, I've seen them on YouTube where they show lights, but maybe a mixture between both would be cool.
Fireworks going off, drones flying.
Yeah, I like to hear it, and the grand finale of it all just is like, yeah, get it on, you know.
Dope. Miss Anna Lewis, before we transition to Project Bridge, I want to give you a chance to ask Travis a question. So I'm gonna go ahead and defer to you here.
Absolutely. So thank you again for your service, of course. But my question for you is, now that you're retired, how do you practice self-care after seeing what you've seen and going through what you've been through?
Yeah, great question. Well, I have my wife to thank for that. My wife is, she works in Okinawa. She owns an insurance company, and right now I'm a full-time dad. I got 3 children, and my self-care is just keeping myself strong, like going to the gym, and it's something that you kind of learned in the military, because basically when we're not doing anything, we're just going to the gym and working out and running and stuff like that and keeping fit, because it's easy to just fall to the wayside. Mm-hmm. So just that mental clarity of just working out and releasing some of that stress by pushing weight just feels great. Or just running for 3 miles. I was actually able to still do that and keep myself working out, and then basically meditating. I like to stretch a lot right before I go to bed. I should do it a lot more, but I used to as well, especially when I'm just not. When I sometimes I have tinnitus, so if things are too quiet, I have to. There's like a ringing sound, yeah. So I have to usually just kind of like listen to on YouTube like thunderstorms. I'm a Floridian. I was born and raised in Clearwater, so you hear thunderstorms and hurricanes, and I would sleep like a baby. So I would.
So you put on the rain app or something like that?
Yeah, the rain app. Yeah, there's rain channels or whatnot. So I like to listen to thunderstorms and stuff like that, and that's one thing that keeps me calm and cool and collected. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Otherwise, I think my kids got me. I got a purpose. It's my kids, once they grow up and go out of the house, I got to find something else to do. I'll be working again, because just working out isn't just life. I gotta do something.
This guy does work out all the time. That's why I got him in the smallest chair in the house.
Yeah.
I got this one chair in the house, Marvin. I don't know if you could tell, but it is tiny.
You don't know, but I am thinking.
So it looks like the one that goes to the gym is me. Look, exercise is good. So Travis, I just want to appreciate you, man, for coming on here and talking about your service. You are one of the most inspiring people I know. Obviously a friend, because even back in the day, man, you could, whatever the task was, if you wanted to accomplish something, you did it.
Yeah.
And you just went with it. And if you were going through a chaos, you were even keeled. If things were going great, you were like, that's cool too. You always had this mentality that you had the ability to overcome what was ever in front of you, man. And now to see you become a father, living in Japan, you're pouring everything into your children, man. Just props to you and credit to you for everything you've given to our country. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate you having me. I mean, it's my pleasure. Yeah, definitely. I love my life now. So I gotta say, with my kids, it just gives all the purpose, So I'm living it, man.
And I feel like every veteran should have the opportunity to say that after they're done with their term. And for as much as you pour into the country, every veteran should be able to say
it could either make you or break you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing is you'll remember those past, but it's something that it's got to make you, not break you. It's just a mental thing that you got to kind of overcome. It's harder for others, but
for sure,
especially depending on how much trauma people have gone through. But it's just you got to stay strong.
100%. Well, man, I hope your message inspires some other people to do that, because you are one of the strongest people I know, man. I appreciate you. And we were going to do the live stream. Normally it's on Fridays, but Travis said, "Hey, I'm gonna be at this barbecue, and you don't want me on a live stream, or I'm enjoying my 4th of July."
Yeah,
we're glad we had you today. All right, so let's Travis, if you can still hang out with us for another 30 minutes, because let's do something. We want to transition the discussion to something else that I think has made a really big impact, especially in Florida. If you see, we have some guests on, Anna and Marvin. It is because they are here to share a little bit about the ending of a program, an important program, and quite frankly, a program that I wouldn't be where I was professionally if they didn't give me this chance. And that is Project Bridge. Before I worked at Project Bridge, I hadn't worked at a place for longer than 3 months. Any job. I ended up working there for like 9 years, So with that, and then the relationships I formed at Project Bridge, I wouldn't be able to have my company now without having those that continue to help and support my company. So Project Bridge has had such an impact on my life, Hope as well. So I'll pass it to Hope here in a second, but we were like, we got to at least have one spotlight of Project Bridge, bring some people on from Project Bridge so they could talk about their experiences, and give it one more final shout out before it transitions and the legacy ends for now. There's still more legacy to come in some other areas, but we wanted to put a final bow on the Project Bridge legacy. Hope, you want to talk a little bit about from your perspective, and then we'll start firing some rapid questions at Marvin and Anna.
Well, I would agree with you, Curtis. Whenever I started working at Project Bridge, I went there because I saw there to be the potential for a mission. And a mission, where I was working before, I could reach a county, and Project Bridge gave me the opportunity to reach 3 counties, and then Central Florida, and then Central and South. And so I saw it as a mission, and I will truly say that Project Bridge changed my life. And I definitely wouldn't be sitting here on this live today without Project Bridge, without Marvin, you, Anna, Deborah. I think you're still here somewhere. Alicia, without everybody, it really became more of a calling. And I don't like to think of this as the end. I think of it as the next chapter, right? Because some things you grow, you accomplish, and now it's time to grow and accomplish that next step, whatever it is. So it's sad in one way, but every single person that had an impact in Project Bridge, that impact is going to live on, and it's going to continue into this next chapter. But it truly is, when I say one of the best programs, the best program that I've ever seen, with people that are really more family now. So, and I'll have more to say as we talk, but I want to go ahead and throw it out back to you, Marvin. I don't think Alicia's on, Anna. But really, Project Bridge has been life-saving, and more than just life-saving for the clients. I believe life-saving and life-changing for the team that has been a part of that mission for so long.
Thank you, Hope. And let's talk about it, Anna. I'm going to start with you, because Hope said life-saving a few times. And I think sometimes we throw around that hyperbole, like, oh, this is saving lives, changing lives. But I think it fits Project Bridge. So talk to me a little bit about the impact you believe Project Bridge had on, and I mean some significant impact of changing lives, impacting lives, the type of lives it impacted. When you look back, what really makes you proud about the lives this program affected?
Well, first and foremost, this program is very near and dear to my heart for many, many reasons. I was one of the individuals heavily involved in implementing this program within our organization, and it was a innovative, collaborative approach to providing services to transition kids, youth that were transitioning out of residential programs. And for me, when I think about what we as a team have collectively accomplished over a 12-year span, I mean, it's incredible. In short, I look back and I was actually able to collect some of the data, and we were able to serve over 8,600 youth over that 12-year span, which is quite impressive when you think about the geographic area of coverage that we were responsible for and how many people were involved. It's not just one-on-one service. You're talking about a team locally that wrapped each of these youth and families with the services necessary to be successful. And it didn't end with just the youth. I mean, you're talking about the family unit as a whole as well, that you were able to touch and help guide them to be on the path that they needed to be on to be successful for the near future. And so I think I have so many fond memories and have witnessed so many wonderful stories over the years that there's no way that I can capture everything in one segment of all the impact that we had.
And I want to just real quick for you, Travis, I'm going to share a quick story because I can share this now because I shared it on at the event. We had, when I was a program manager, anytime a young person would come into the office, I would introduce myself and say, hey, I'm Curtis, I'm the program manager. What made you want to be in Project Bridge, right? And they would tell me about it. So we had one young man come to the office and I was like, hey, what made you want to be in Project Bridge? And he's like, what's Project Bridge? I said, what do you mean? I said, well, like who's your probation officer? Like, who referred you here? And he was like, probation officer, what's that mean? I said, what? I said, so I go into the office and I'm like, who is this young man? You know what I mean? Like, what he says he doesn't know our program. And they looked in, they were like, oh, we don't know him either.
Fell in there.
So I go back in there. I was like, man, what are you doing here? Right. And he was like, well, a white van pulled up and they said, we're here to help people get a job. So I jumped in.
Hey, well, that.
But my point,
initiative.
He did. But my point is, like, that's like what Project Bridge I thought was so special about it is like you're literally just pulling up into different areas, communities with the main goal of, hey, we just want to help you.
We want to help. Yeah.
And like it wasn't we're here trying to get you caught up. We're trying to get you in trouble. We're here to tell you what to do. Right. We just want to help. So even young people that weren't even part of the program were like, hey, how do I get part of this program too? Yeah, and it was just so impactful. So let me ask Marvin. Marvin, I want to hear, because I've known you for a little bit as well. I knew you right when Project Bridge started versus where we are today, right? Power port and all. That's an inside joke if you're just jumping on. How has being a part of Project Bridge, you think, changed your approach, change how you think, change you either personally or professionally? Aside from not understanding how to take off the mute button, which is something that's been consistent from Marvin. Oh, hey, you know what, Marvin? I'm gonna help you out. Just like old times when you call me for technology issues, yes. I got you. Now you're off.
Okay, perfect. So, back in 2013, when Anna, hired me, I was working with a program that we had just lost our contract, and they were the job that we had to do, we were kind of considered the bad people. We had to go to court with kids. We had to, not necessarily commit kids, but we were looked at as the bad people. So when Project Bridge got created, and I spoke with Anna, and she says, hey, you know what? Do you want to come on and work with us? This is what you're going to be doing. And you're going to be considered good people. You're trying to help the kids. You got financial support. You can do cool things with the kids. So I'm like, heck yeah, sign me up. Let's do this. So 12 years later, I was able to, when we first started, it was basically, just 15s and 30s, get the contact, move on, get the contact, move on. then you got involved and you got creative, and then we started doing events and things of that nature, and it just became so much fun. Not only was it fun for the kids, but it became fun for the staff. We enjoyed those cookouts, and those special events that we did, so it was just pretty cool. How have I grown as a person? Thanks to, people like Anna, Hope, yourself, Alicia, who kind of mentored me, kind of, coached me up. And, I've just kind of grown from, just being I'll just say I've grown a lot, and I'm thankful.
Yeah, and I want to shout out Marvin a little bit too. One of my favorite moments about him is, in the beginning, I'm a naturally like a skeptical person.
Yeah.
So when someone speaks highly of themselves, I'm not taking that at face value. I want to see, you know what I mean? So with Marvin in the beginning, and Marvin knows this, I wasn't sure. Like, I was like, what's really, and he wasn't sure of me. We found out later they tried to sabotage me, but it was all good now. They admitted it during an event. They said we tried to sabotage me. Him and Alicia. But I remember I had asked him to do an event for the kids, and he came up with this event called it was Boys to Men. Where he would do like some life skills for some of the boys in the program, right? Go to Wild Wings or whatever. And he had like 6 kids scheduled, and 5 of the 6 dropped out. You know how it is last second. Oh, we can't go because of this or this or whatever. So I gave Marvin the out, and I was like, since you only have 1, we can cancel. And that's kind of like my way of saying, let me see right? Let me see. And Marvin was like, ain't no way, we're doing it. Yeah. So I was like, let me go with you. And he went to this Wild Wings with this young man, and you could tell this like young man's been through some things. Like, it's one of those things, not even looking in the eye, like looking at, he don't want to be here, like that type of stuff. Right. And Marvin printed out like the lyrics to this song that he thought would connect with them, sat there, had dinner with them. This is 7:00 at night on a weeknight, which I found out even crazier. Marvin, he also worked like another job full time in like a residential facility. Yeah. He has his own kids. I don't know when he ever sleeps. But that was a really big moment for me, Marvin, and said, man, this isn't just about checking a box, like you said. Like, you truly care about making a difference. And I think a lot of our team did, which really made Project Bridge special. So shout out to you, Marvin.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Curtis. And, thanks to you, for your support. One thing I loved about you back in, well, still now, is that, you're going to support me. You're going to be like, hey, you know what? Let's do this, but we're going to do this together. Like we talked about at the leadership event, 2 months ago, the football activity that me and you did together, flag football. We were getting our butts kicked, but hey, you know what? We had fun with it. We had fun with the kids. They learned a lot. We definitely learned a lot about ourselves, that we weren't great coaches, but, we had fun.
Yeah, and I was trying to actually put that memory outside my head, because everything I had going on, everything Marvin had going on, we were like, you know what, you want to coach a YMCA team too? Yeah. And get some Project Bridge kids on it. And they were actually, now we can say it, they were too old to be there, but we had a connection. We got them on there anyway. We had the best team by far athletically. Yeah. And but the problem is we had the worst coaches in the entire league. Us. Oh, yeah. You know how many games we won with the best players in the league? Oh, take a guess.
Don't tell me 0.
0.
Wow. Well, y'all had them running the opposite way.
I don't know what was happening. Because you wouldn't think we would luck into a win, Marvin.
Yeah.
I don't know. Boy, it was embarrassing. It was so bad towards the end of the year. Only 3 kids showed up for the last game. Yeah. It was all Project Bridge kids. So we ran 3 Project Bridge kids. But the kids loved it. They had a blast, man. But our coaching was not it. Yeah. So
brush up on those coaching skills.
No, or just retire. It's just like focus on the things you're good at. Hope, I'm gonna pass it to you here in a second so you can ask a question. But I want to put Miss Stanley up on the screen because she's put something in the comments for it. Eckerd was uniquely amazing. Company and Project Bridge was a daily challenge to tap into the skills I had. Never knew I had, and it lifted me every day to be my best self. Curtis and Hope, you inspired us, demanded that I found and provided solutions for our family and youth. Meet them where they are, love and value them for who they are. P.S. Curtis Thomas is now a qualified electrician with Project Bridge Kid, qualified electrician with a son of his own. Smile Project Bridge fan forever. That's dope.
good.
Those stories are, and a lot of it when you're working with young people, it's like that quote: "You plant trees for shade that you might never see."
Right.
You know, it's kind of like being a teacher too. My mom's a teacher. You're pouring so much into these kids, and you might not actually see the impact until years later. I was actually at because you were talking about you're going to Legoland.
Yeah.
I was at Legoland, and after we got off one of the rides, the worker came over to me. He's like, "Hey, Mr. Curtis."
Are you?
Yeah, and I was like, Mr. Curtis, what's going on?
Yeah.
And I tell you, I'm like skeptical. So I'm like, what's talking about, Mr. Curtis? Like, who is this guy, right?
Yes.
He's like, man, you used to come to my house like every week, man. You were my mentor. Like, you remember me?
Awesome.
He was in Project Bridge, and he's like, man, I don't know what I would have been without the program, man. I just want to thank you. And this is like,
good.
I don't know, 15 years later. You know what I mean? It's such a dope feeling when you pour into others and you see that impact.
Yeah, I'm sure it's rewarding as well.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what Project Bridge did. So Miss Hope, give a tough question to either Anna or Marvin. Let's see if we can make them stress out a little bit.
Oh, I don't know about stress out. I do want to say real quick before I ask a question, I have two things. One, Deborah, we never had to inspire you to not check boxes. You came in ready to impact lives and wrap your arms around people. You've been doing that since the first time I met you. So, you know, you're Project Bridge at heart. That's why you ended up with this family, because you just, it was a natural fit. So, and also 10 years ago yesterday was the very first cross circuit event that we had together, Curtis. It's when Circuit 12, Manatee, Sarasota, DeSoto, drove over to Tampa, and we had our very first barbecue. Do you guys remember that? No? Okay, I have pictures.
Yeah, pictures.
We got pictures.
Yeah.
We got proof.
I have pictures. In fact, Curtis's main activity of the day was having kids walk with eggs and wrap them in toilet paper. I'm not sure what was happening, but the kids had a blast, and it was the most memorable time. The whole drive back, the kids were talking about how fun it was. And I remember that because, and even though it was 10 years ago yesterday, it was the very first time any of our circuits came together for an event that we partnered, with. And then that just broke the ice. So everything we did after that was really connected, and it made the team bigger, right? We had a team of maybe 3 or 4 or 5 people. But when we connected circuits, we had a team of 3 circuits. We could call each other, lean on each other. So that was really, really nice. So to the question, I would ask both Anna and Marvin, if you could go back to your early years with Project Bridge, knowing now what you know, what would you tell the younger you in Project Bridge that would keep you going?
I would say we invite and welcome creativity. This is your opportunity to really, shine and use any of those creative ideas that you want to bring to the table and engage our youth and families. I would say I would probably promote that as much as possible early on.
Mm-hmm. I would probably add and say that focus on self-care early on, because it can be mentally, physically draining, as you pour into the kids, and then sometimes they have setbacks. Even though you've planted those seeds, it can still kind of take an effect on you. So, focus on self-care early, because, sometimes you never know when you need to, resort to that.
That's true. And I like what both of you said, Anna talking about, use your creativity, use whatever you have. And then also don't forget to take care of yourself, because what did you say? 8,600 young people?
8,600. Yes.
That is a tremendous number. Do you happen to know, or roundabout, approximately how many staff around that time? Because I'm sure the number is a lot smaller than the 80.
Yes, it's definitely a lot smaller. If I had to guess, over the 12-year span, at least over 100 staff between Central and South Florida.
So 100 individuals. impacted over 8,600 youth, but also families.
Right.
And that's what Curtis and Marvin, I know that you were in the field. A lot of times we were not just meeting with the client, we were with their families. I know times where we've helped brothers, sisters, grandmas, grandpas, dads, and moms get jobs right along with the clients getting jobs. So that's a tremendous impact. So I would also want to ask, thinking back over this 12 years, what impact moment stands out the most? This could be with a staff, a client, an event. What really comes to mind when you think about the heart of Project Bridge and something that just kind of defined what it means to you?
I would probably say the leadership events and just the leadership events that we tried to do on a quarterly basis. Just to recognize these youth, allow them to go up there, talk to their JPOs and thank them, thank their families, thank Project Bridge staff, for their support. Not only was it rewarding for them, it was rewarding for staff, because we poured in a lot, of extra effort, in order to create those events and get everything set up and so on and so forth, but just to see those kids, young teenagers get up there and thank everybody and be appreciative and see how much they've grown and just kind of highlight their success. That was just, probably the best part for me.
Yeah, I'm going to jump, and something similar is the youth ambassador events, the events up in Tallahassee. And we've been very fortunate to have multiple youth recognized, and staff as well, for their efforts over the years. And seeing those youth up there speaking and giving their testimony as to what their experiences were within Project Bridge and where they were before they got to us, and the impact that we had on their lives, and how they've continued on the right path. Seeing that and seeing them recognized for their efforts, that's another one that really tugs at the heartstrings.
And Hope, you mentioned about, just helping the families. We have helped families, get GEDs, in addition to the jobs. I just recall when we started getting those success awards and we were able to kind of make it rain for the families, not only the youth, but the families doing, March, April, May, during the middle of the year. So it's not like it was just a Christmas, like, hey, we're going to make it, share some love with you financially. We were doing this in March and April, so I recall, paying light bills, helping families, pay rent. Even one time we helped the kid get a car.
Yeah.
So just the things that we were able to do was just amazing. And I just love those moments, being able to put a smile on not only the kid's face, but the family's face. That was special for me. And
Marvin, I remember everything you just said. I remember a lot of it, the kid with a car. And I know that people listening that may not know what this means to families. I remember when I worked with DJJ, I worked in several residential facilities, but I remember being on the inside, helping young people get ready to go back to their community. And I remember one particular youth that he came in, he didn't want to be there. He was there somewhere between 16 and 18 months. On the education side, we helped him completely prepare for his GED. He was ready to pass it, but he was getting released before we could actually help him get it. So we were all very excited. We were releasing him back to his family, his community. He was ready to get his GED. He wanted to go in and serve his country. And I believe he wanted to go into the Marines. And I think he'd actually talked to a recruiter. And I remember I was excited to hear back all of these great things that were going to happen. And I got a call early one morning, probably 4 or 5 in the morning, that he had lost his life. And what had happened is his family didn't want to take him to get his GED. So he took their car to go get his own GED and ended up, it just ended up badly. He lost his life. And I remember thinking in that moment, there's got to be more. There has to be more. We're doing what we can on the inside, but then we're sending these kids right back to their communities with what? And then when I got the call to come to Project Bridge and I found out what Project Bridge offers, I thought, this is the more. This is exactly what all of these kids that we'd reached before needed. That bridge, literally the bridge. And you can never underestimate what a light bill, what some groceries, what a GED. And I remember my very first kid that ever got a job. He wanted a job. He did not have a supportive family. So we took him to Walmart and got him a pair of boots. And Anna, that picture I think was in your little collage.
Yes.
And he sent me a picture of his boots that evening. He started his job the next day. And late last year, October, November, he reached back out and said, I just want to let you know that I'm still working, that I'm making more than I've ever made. I have a daughter and I have a family, and it's because of those boots. And I was like, oh my gosh, a pair of boots, to us, it's just a pair of boots. It's just a light bill. It's just a car. But to the families that Project Bridge has served over these years, that's where the life saving comes in, because you cannot underestimate the phone call, the text, the boots, the light bill, the groceries. Those are all bridges that save lives. And that's what Project Bridge, the staff, the program has been to every family it has touched.
Well said, Hope.
Well said.
Well said. And I got Miss Deborah. Let's get her moment here too. She says she loves seeing the parents and two sisters get their GED with the youth. Now, how cool is that? The whole family graduating together. That's like generational change right there. So that's phenomenal. All right, so before we're getting near the end of the episode, so we do got to give a couple news updates with the Aware News Network. But before I do that, final thoughts from anyone about Project Bridge. Any final thoughts as we close the door on this particular journey?
As we change chapters.
As we write a new book.
Yes.
Any final notes on the book that we are closing? Anna or Marvin?
Gosh, you got me off guard on that one. I'm looking forward to the future and seeing how we can eventually all connect again and continue expanding our impact to those in need.
Hold on, Marvin. Go ahead, sir.
No, I was just saying I co-sign what Anna said, looking forward to the future, excited to continue to be able to, service, at-risk youth and the communities and help families, so just excited about the future.
And Curtis, I want to give a shout out.
Okay.
I would shout out every person on Project Bridge, but they're not here right now. So I would like to shout out all three of you. I remember Anna, when I first met you. And then I remember the very first mentor event. I have always been taught that leaders, they roll up their sleeves and they get in, but I had never witnessed, I just didn't know you yet. And I remember showing up to a mentor event and I couldn't get in the building. And I probably had 50 bags of stuff. And next thing I know, Anna is unlocking the door, helping carry stuff in, helping set it up. And that was the day I knew, okay, this is a leader I can follow. And I wasn't Eckert at the time. I was Hinkles. But I remember knowing at that moment, this is a leader I can follow. And I really respected that. And the same with Marvin. Marvin, I remember the very first time I met you, you were doing everything from picking up kids to helping set things up, to barbecuing, to doing the actual job that you were supposed to do. You were just always smiling and happy and helpful. And it didn't matter what you were asked to do. You did it. And just that leadership, to me, that shows. And Curtis, the same goes for you. I think I'm just so happy that I met all of you. You have all had a tremendous not had, but have, and will continue to have an amazing impact on my life as well. So I'm thankful to have met you, and I am excited to see what the future has. And so just thank you for all you do, for your service to not just the clients, but to the staff, to the peers, and then the next chapter.
Thank you, Hope. We appreciate
Okay, Hope. Thank you. What impact has Project Bridge had on you, Travis? I'm just, you about to answer?
No, I mean, well, from what you guys have been talking about, like, I mean, you guys are helping a lot. From what all the little children, sometimes you guys we need that helping hand, you know, that you guys are that missing helping hand from coming right out of high school, and you know, some people just don't have that family support, and you guys are taking that step. So I would definitely want to appreciate every single one of you guys for doing that.
Appreciate that. And I also want to add a shout out to those watching that were in Project Bridge, the staff members that participated in a barbecue, a kickball event, did an event after hours with the kid that was not written in the contract. I think Project Bridge is proof that you don't have to follow exactly this mold of what they say. Hey, just go get them a job. Just go see them every 2 weeks. Just do this. Project Bridge did so much stuff that wasn't even in the contract, that had nothing to do with the contract. Not because staff were like, we just want to do something different, because they understood the impact that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
And our team were relationship builders, and they went above and beyond to do that. And I think that is Project Bridge's legacy for sure, going above the standard. Yeah. And whatever book is being written next, I want to challenge them to not only do the same, but do better, do more than we did. It's up to you. So in 15 years, you're on a live stream with me. I'm gonna have some gray hair, and I'm gonna ask you, what impact did that program have on you? So I appreciate you, Anna and Marvin. We're gonna go through some news updates. You can hang on with us if you want, or you can sign off, whatever you prefer. So let's go through a couple things. First, I'm not sure if you heard of the situation with Travis Decker. Really tragic, horrible story. It was a split custody situation with 3 kids, and the kids went with the father, and then the kids never came back, and they were found deceased, and the father is currently on the run. So he is the person of interest, but they haven't found him yet. So we've been talking about this on a bunch of episodes, mainly because of the decisions to allow unsupervised visits in this situation, with the gentleman being homeless and there being a pattern of some mental health concerns. So in response to that, I filed a complaint with the Washington Office of Children Ombuds. They did respond. They sent me a letter with that complaint that they are going to investigate what led to the unsupervised visits. They can't investigate the judge or the case directly, but they can investigate if they followed procedure that led to these children being unsupervised. Right. And I'm gonna talk about the story too much because it gets me angry and sad at the same time. It's tough, but hopefully they find this guy soon, and everyone's held accountable, not only him, but if there were processes that weren't followed that led to that situation. The other story that we've been talking about quite a bit is Job Corps. And I know this is one that's close to your heart as well, Hope, Marvin as well. It looks like they did file an injunction. So the immediate sudden closures of Job Corps is not happening at this time. And I believe the next court date is going to be July 12th, where they determine what happens next. But they have temporarily paused the closing of the Job Corps sites. I don't know, are you familiar with Job Corps at all? No. Young people that it's essentially they go to a campus that offers trades, training, healthcare on campus. There's mental health resource on campus. They live there maybe upwards to a year. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, it could be longer. And then they get their degree, they get their education, they go back into the community. Yeah, right. So it's been around for a long time. And then all of a sudden they got a notification that it's over, you're done. And there would be no funding. Oh, man. So what they're working through in the courts right now is to decide, one, we believe we should have funding, and then 2, why is this all of a sudden a sudden closure as opposed to some sort of transition?
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to all of a sudden say, all right, you don't have access to education or training anymore. It's another say, not only do you have no access to that, but we're going to send you back into the community where you might not even have stability at home, which doesn't make a lot of sense. I did reach out to some of my local representatives too to get an opinion if what's their view on this, because how I feel is, and even if you don't think the system is running up to be as successful as it was meant to be, in what scenario is saying here's 300 youth all of a sudden go back into community with no plan? And what scenario is that good for the community? It just doesn't make sense, right?
Them to failure.
So it sounds like the court systems kind of agree with that, at least to now, because they put an injunction and put a hold on that. So we're interested in seeing where we go from here. So that's the update on Job Corps. Anna or Marvin or Hope, did you have any additional thoughts on that?
No, I mean, we're just patiently waiting to see what the outcome is of it. And hopefully we'll be able to retain that and so that they can continue to have that impact for all these youth and young adults that are in need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The next thing, good news, DeSantis did sign Bill 1405, which is enhancing truancy intervention. Marvin, I don't know if you heard about this new bill that just got signed. It's a good one where they take a step back from punishment approaches to truancy and more go into preventative. So right now, when like kids would skip school, before this bill, the more likely scenario is they would go put out a warrant to try to find them. And then when they would find them, they would lock them up in detention. They sit in detention for a while. They'd miss more school. And it was just this cycle that the way we're responding is not helping the ultimate goal.
Right.
So they signed a bill that puts more resources, funding, and supports in place that when that truancy happens, instead of just locking them up in detention, you're taking more of a wraparound case management approach to say, let's find out why it's occurring. Let's wrap around some resources with them. Right. They even put, and I don't have the bill in front of me, but they put a limit on the amount of days the child can actually spend in detention now. You can't just hold them indefinitely.
Right.
So it's a really good bill to help address some of the issues related to truancy, as opposed to just saying you didn't go to school, now you're locked up. So I don't know, Marvin, if you heard about that bill coming through, but it does seem like they're putting more effort on prevention as opposed to just, throw them in detention.
Agree.
The other one related to workforce and youth, it looks like it did not pass, as they were trying to lower the work limits for, right now, if you're 16 and up or 16 to 18, someone could correct me, you can only work a certain amount of hours per week, like 30 or something like that.
Right, okay.
I think they were trying to lower the age that between 14 and 17, you could work up to 40 hours if you wanted. Oh, wow. So that one almost got passed, but it did not get passed. It died in the Senate. So for now, the ages related to working have not changed. So that is all I have related to the updates we've been talking about for news and some of the bills that are coming across. And then DeSantis also did sign a bill where in adult prisons, the credits you earn towards your trades can now be applied when you go back to the community. So when you go back to the community, you don't have to start over.
That's good.
You can immediately get into that trade profession. So Florida is doing a lot of good things right now on the preventative side and helping supporting some people that need a second chance. So Those are our updates. I got 12:06 on my clock. I just want to give another shout out and thank you to Marvin and Anna for everything that you have done with Project Bridge, the impact you made on me, it made on those young people. There is no doubt that we're trying to build legacy. We're trying to build impact, and the legacy that you all have helped contribute to, it's shade that's going to cover families for generations. So we appreciate you. Thank you to Travis. Hey, man. You're braver than I could ever be. I couldn't have did what you did. You made the biggest sacrifice you could make. So every time you get a win, every time your family's good, every time I hear things are going good for you, I'm like, that's how it should be. Man, you in Iraq and Afghanistan. Hey, get everything good that you deserve and keep going after it. And then Ms. Hope, obviously, thank you for always supporting and being a co-host with me. Final thoughts from the group before we wrap this thing up.
Just thank you all once again. And, to Curtis, Hope, and Marvin, and the rest of the team, I can't thank you all enough. Honestly, I know I sound a little bit like a broken record, but thank you all for your impact. And then to Travis as well, thank you once again for your service.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right, people. Tomorrow's 4th of July. Enjoy yourself
Happy
on
Fourth.
a barbecue, fireworks. Be safe, please. Don't just get the sparklers. Just get the sparklers. It's gonna be okay. Don't blow yourselves up. All right, everybody. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Right. Happy 4th.
Happy 4th.
What if we helped people who help people? Speak for MC provides training, motivational talks, personal reflections on parenting, resilience, and working through adversity. Welcome to Speak for Maggie's Change. Hit that subscribe button.